Hello and welcome to your favorite program on Living Television Film Academy about issues of the moment. My name is Chimezie Osems, and on today's edition of the program, we are going to examine rising cases of ritual killings in Nigeria. Ritual killing is the sacrificial killing of a human being to appease a deity. Though this barbaric act is an ancient practice, it has reached a frightening dimension in today's Nigeria. What is fueling killing for rituals in Nigeria when other parts of the world are making progress in almost every facet of human endeavor? I have in the studio Dr. Stanley Ntwago. Dr. Ntwago is a man of many parts. He is an author, a teacher, and of course, a broadcaster. Dr. Ntwago, welcome to Issues of the Moment.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and welcome, dear viewers.
I also have in the studio Professor Chinedum Adiele. Professor Adiele is a public affairs analyst. Professor Adiele, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The viewers, you're welcome.
Dr. Ntwago, let me start with you. I'm sure that you are worried with what is happening in Nigeria, talking about ritual killings. How do you feel about it?
Well, as you said in your introduction, ritual killings didn't start today. It is an ancient practice done by men of the old, where they kill human beings to appease the deity. And that was for the purposes of sometimes celebrating a king in the death of, in the event that a king dies. So it said he will need 1 or 2 human heads to be buried. But what we see today has taken a new dimension. Ritual killing has assumed epidemic proportions in Nigeria today, and that is frightening. That is worrisome. A case where you kill your fellow human being just because you want to make all that money is unacceptable both before man and before God. It's unacceptable to every society. So the issue of ritual killing has taken a new shape in Nigeria, and it is even increasing on a daily basis. So it is an issue that requires urgent attention. Otherwise, we will find ourselves in a situation where you wake up one morning, you are not sure of finding your child again, you're not even sure of getting home, you're not sure that your wife who has gone to the market will come back alive without being killed on the way and some organs harvested for ritual purposes. So it is a worrisome situation that has to be addressed urgently.
Thank you very much. Professor Dele, you are a keen watcher of events in Nigeria. How do you feel about what is happening in Nigeria?
Well, it is a very bad situation. The situation we find ourselves these days is so worrisome. Because I know in those days, even that, I think that was one of the major reasons, one of the major things the whites did when they visited, telling us that it is very wrong. We should not be carnivorous in nature. They did that, and then that was what ushered in Christianity. But now that the churches have so increased, I wonder why even ritual killing is even more than during the days of our forefathers. That one reason is certain. That reason is just because of money. A lot of people believe that killing, using human beings, and almost every day in our daily news, if a man is not caught with a human head, he's caught with one part of the body or the other. What the others are killed, their eyes taken, private parts taken, and so on. And so, life itself, a lot of people want to make money, a lot of people want to live. So since the government are not doing what they are supposed to do, coupled with some of our parents, then what will they do? They resolve to anything that will give them money. Because the commonest food, the hunger, the commonest language, hunger, he has his food. It doesn't really matter where it's coming from. A man who is thirsty can equally drink urine to quench his thirst. So these are some of the reasons for these ritual killings.
Okay, thank you. Now, Dr. Ntwago, what do you consider to be the main factors fueling ritual killings in Nigeria?
Well, the major factor is to get rich quick at all costs at the expense of the life of your fellow human being. Now, how did it begin? Let's talk about our movie industry in Nigeria, Nollywood, for instance. A case where children, a young man who wants to make money at all costs, sees somebody go into ritual killing and becoming rich as a result of it. What do you think that young man who is madly in need of money would do? If I could kill one person, just harvest the organ, I become the richest man in my community. I am conferred with the highest chieftaincy title. I build the best of mansions. People will come in to worship me. Let me go into ritual killing. So one of the reasons is uncensored movies, which our children watch. And I'm aware that we have what is called National Film and Video Censors Board. And I wonder what that board does, because some of these obscene things we watch on television are what is causing problems we are facing, such as ritual killing. That is number one. Number two is mad quest for money. A case where you see a young man who has not done anything meaningful all his life, who even dropped out of secondary school, has not learned any trade. You see him the next day cruising in the best car, carrying the best of the women, having the best of phones, and meanwhile you were better than that particular person while you were in secondary school. You begin to wonder, how did you get to this level? Suddenly he says, see what I did. If you are not somebody who is disciplined, you might be forced to go into it. So peer group influence is another factor that has led to that. I don't want to talk about unemployment because there is no reason whatsoever that you will give to warrant, to permit, to allow you to justify you are going to kill your fellow human being, cut off the head, carry or harvest some of the organs, take the private parts to go to a native doctor to make money. That is totally unacceptable. Therefore, the movie industry, Nollywood, should be held responsible for part of this. Parents are also to be held responsible. Some of us parents are too interested in making that money for our family, not minding what our children do in our absence. That is part of it. 3, I've mentioned peer group influence, and of course 4, the government, as Prof said, not doing enough. I don't want to hold government responsible for this, but we know that the society has decayed. Moral level has got to the lowest level. These are the factors militating or even fueling the ritual killing we are talking about.
Okay, thank you. Now, Professor Diele, I remember very well that you were once an actor. Now, do you agree with Dr. Stanley Ntwago that Nollywood is contributing to what is happening in the area of ritual killing?
I disagree. I disagree because there is no Nollywood that is involved. Most of them that are involved in this ritual killing is just trying to expose the evils in the society. And there is no ritual killing in Nollywood anytime, any day that at the end of the day we'll see a repercussion on this person who were involved, in that ritual killing. And that is enough to tell the people. At the end of it, the Nollywood balances it by telling you going into such or venturing into it is dangerous. Most of them, none of them in the Nollywood had ever gone into ritual killing in the Nollywood that at the end of the day will not pay for it, die younger, and even put the family into a momentous torture. And so many, most often also, that same family that either a son of theirs is involved in it and so on, at a point they become a total mockery to the society. So the Nollywood has done nothing. What Nollywood does, or what filmmaking does, is faking reality. They're exposing the ills of the society. And that is why any person that does any film that involves ritual killing and nothing happens to the ritual killer at the end, that film must not see the light of the day. And so when you talk about this ritual killing, we've seen one part when he talked about money making, people wanting to get rich quicker. Yes, I agree with that. And also when he says I don't blame government and all that, I'm telling you that government is also part of it. You can imagine a graduate who is driving keke. How many of our graduates every year get job anywhere? The government have not created enabling environment. If I finish a job, let me tell you, most of these people who are doing these things, they have conscience. They have conscience. There are some armed robbers who will go to steal. They will never kill until they finish because they want to raise money to start something. I also agree with him that there is no excuse for any form of crime, no. But there are people, if your moral standard is not strong enough, you are bound to do anything to get what you want. So all of us must not be good Christians. There are people who don't want. All they care is what they make. And I don't know if you have been in a situation of a terrible hunger. I'm telling you, you want to do anything at that point. Take for instance, you are a father, you are a parent, and then you wake up one morning, this your child is crying, this other one is crying for hunger, and you don't have a penny in your hand. And as you are coming out, the friend will tell you, there's a place I want you to escort me. Say, well, my children have not eaten. Say, is that what I said? Don't worry, I will show you, you make money. They will eat and eat double today. You ask what? He said, we are going to this man's house. It's not around. We are going to make money. I know where he keeps his money. He said, no, I'm a Christian. I will not. You will die as a Christian, and your children will also join you and die. Do you think God will flog you when you get to heaven? Such a man is bound to go and do it. See, when the government plays their role the way it is, okay, look at Nigeria. We are talking about ritual killing. Are government not involved? Look at the recent development. Nigeria is rated the second most corrupt nation in the world. What is that supposed? What is it telling us? What is corrupt? Take for instance, many years back, Ghanaians were scattered all over Nigeria, and that's why we developed Ghana Must Go. That bag, Ghana Must Go, looking for greener pastures. But today, Nigerians are all over Ghana. As small as Ghana, Nigerians are there. They are even deporting some of our brothers. You know about apartheid, South African apartheid. What is happening today? Nigerians are there. Nigeria has enough to take care of its members here in this country. But what is the problem? The problem is that our leaders are the problem we have. You can imagine if you become a local government chairman, you want to be richer than the local government, your government. If you are a governor, you'll be richer. And because our people are not so enlightened and educated, the moment one takes up any political office, he becomes a god. Everybody begins to worship him, and they see themselves equally as gods. And when you look at this, if you cannot beat them, what do you do? When you don't want to join them, you chart a course for yourself. So both parents who are not pure Christians and the government, they are contributing this. If you take a census of our graduates, you find out every year if you produce about 2,000 graduates, only about 5% will get a job. What happens to the others? Why going to school then? So it is not a function of blaming a particular sector. The government should be blamed for what is happening.
Okay, thank you. Now, Dr. Ndago, some group of people are involved in this horrible crime, but the main perpetrators are our youth. Can it be said that today we are producing youth who have no value for human life?
Yes, that is the area where I totally disagree with my brother here, Professor Adele. He seems to be protecting the industry where he has been an active participant. So it is easier to give the monkey water to drink, but difficult to retrieve the cup from him. Yes, I agree that after each movie, there is some repercussion that will be shown that somebody who went into ritual killing suffered this and suffered that. But our youth these days do not care about the consequences, the after effects. They want to get it now. What happens tomorrow is none of their business. So why will not the people show it in the first instance and then come and show us the repercussion? These men are not interested in the repercussion, but how do we have seen the way out. What happens thereafter is not their business. Now that leads me to your question. It is only somebody that has conscience that will begin to think about the after effects of his actions. Our youth of these days have no conscience at all. That is why they can boldly kill a fellow human being, including their girlfriends, brothers, sisters, even parents. And at the end of the day, they want to make that money, not minding what happens. So we lack that conscience, use of these days, because they want to make it quick. It is not a question of unemployment. There are some unemployed people out there who will never, ever venture into ritual killing. There are some parents there who are suffering. Their children are hungry. That will not even take to crime. It is a matter of conscience. Only those who lack conscience or who have lost their conscience, especially our youth, who want to make it at all costs, not minding the after effects that can go into it. That is the area where morals come in, where conscience comes in, where the fear of God comes in. We have lost all this. in our present crop of youths.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Professor Dele, can it be said that what we are witnessing in Nigeria is a systemic failure when you consider what our youths are doing today? A collapse of moral values?
Yes, I agree. But I also want to let my friend know that before I started, I said there is no excuse for crime. There is no reason. No one has reason. But let me tell you, whether you like it or not, respect, they say, does not mean cowardice. But a court can break when the respected does not reciprocate to that respect. What do I mean by this? When you talk about government, I know, as I am seated here, I am a victim of corruption and so many other persons. But because of conscience, there is no man born without a conscience, without consciousness, but conscient or anyway. But one thing you must know is that there are certain circumstances that can throw a man off balance. There are certain happenstances that can pull you out from your original belief and from your feet. And these are some of the things that is happening. It's true. There are ways things will happen. There are certain things you might be experiencing in life if it will force you to do otherwise. Even the Bible said it, that there are those whose heart are seared with hot iron. And when you look at this, that's exactly what is happening here. If I would be asked to say or suggest, I think that this country is in fact facing a serious moral failure. What do I mean by this? Tell me, we all know we are here. I know why most often when we sit down here to talk, before the public, it is always easy to put some defense, maybe because of one brother or sister who is in government, or one of them what benefits from. But the truth is that we have failed, the government has equally failed the youth, in as much as it's not enough for them to take to crime. But they have failed. When we talk about government, what is the meaning of government? To take care of the people's they say it's to take care of lives and property of the people.
The welfare of citizens.
The welfare of the citizens. And now, how much have they done that? Think about our allocations. It was in millions in those days, from million to billion. Today is in trillions. How has it affected your mother or your brother or my father or my mother in the village? As we speak now, my father is owed about 3-4 years pension. What do you expect? If that man was having his pension, I wouldn't be running home every weekend. It has equally affected me. And so when the government do what they are supposed to do, it will help. It will help to bring back some of these. There are some of them that they may be reasonable. But because of the environment they find themselves, they have no choice. Then, my brother, whether you like it or not, no, even if you swallow Jesus Christ and drink Holy Ghost, if you are hungry and you're moving by the way and you see a piece of akara in a place, you must be compelled to pick it and blow off the sand and eat. Okay. That is what is happening in most of the areas.
Okay, thank you, Professor Dele. At this point, we are going to take a break. And when we come back, the rest of the program continues. Don't go away. program. This is Issues of the Moment. And today we are taking a look at rising cases of ritual killings in almost every part of Nigeria. And my guests today are Dr. Stanley Nduago and Professor Chinedum Adiele. Now, Dr. Nduago, the House of Representatives is planning to declare a state of emergency on ritual killings. And they also blamed Nollywood for what is happening. But the federal lawmakers did not talk about hunger and high rate of unemployment. Do you think that they are completely correct?
Well, thank you very much. I'm not going to hold brief for the members of the House of Representatives of Nigeria, but something has to be done. No government will keep quiet and watch things go this way, especially as it relates to the daily killings of innocent people. Yeah, the direction the House of Reps is going is good, but they should go beyond that. They should address some of the issues that push people. Remember, I said earlier that there's no reason whatsoever, and Prof concord with me. But the issue is, what are those root problems causing that? Apart from the failure of the government, we have failed as a society where wealth is worshipped, where people are assessed based on the wealth they acquire, not minding how they acquire it. It's a problem to us. Virtues, good conduct, I don't even know how many people who are recognized in their villages for good conduct, but they are recognized because they have made a lot of money there, and that is a problem. Therefore, I urge the House of Reps, while they are declaring that is state of emergency, let me agree with Prof for once, that they should address those factors that have given rise to that, especially hunger and unemployment. They are factors. But as a society, we must see that we honor and recognize good conduct, good virtues, and not wealth. No number of laws made can address this issue until we as a society say, let us recognize good conduct, encourage good conduct, and attach less importance to wealth acquisition and wealth creation. That is the root problem. So when we begin to look at people based on the good conduct they have, what they've done for their societies, the good conscience, the truth they tell, my brother, will be on our way to addressing this issue of ritual killings.
Okay, thank you. Now, Professor Adiele, don't you think that the federal lawmakers should go beyond declaring a state of emergency and address the issue of hunger and high level of poverty in Nigeria?
Yeah, in the first place, the lawmakers, if they say their major problem is the filmmakers and so on, I don't think, and I also don't want to believe they did that, because following the root cause of a problem is the first thing to do if you want that problem solved. You don't depend on the what do you call it in medicine. You don't just depend on the symptoms. You don't depend on the symptoms. You could find out, dig out, whether if it means doing a research, do a research to find out the root cause. It's just like you have a headache, you go and take Sudrex. Find out what brought about the headache. Are you going to have malaria? Are you going to have this or that? Until that thing is treated, that is why even that vat will tell you, if you take this thing after 2 days, consult your physician. So if the lawmakers, they are also part of the problem we are facing. They may not want to tell, just like Doc said, how can you, as a reasonable man who is representing your people, you take about 20-something million naira a month, and this other teacher who taught you is taking just about 30,000 naira, and all of us go to the same market.
Which is not regular.
It's not regular. And these same people who are taking, if we talk about all the allowances, it's about 29-30 million naira. And then there are these other teachers who thought you have been there. Their pensions are not paid. Their salaries are not paid. Even the little one they accepted to give to them. But you are happy swallowing such money while others, so that anytime you come around, they will all gather around and sing for you. They are part of the problem we have. They don't have the interest of the masses at heart. It is as short as that. Because if you want to talk about these ritual killings, okay, a 17-year-old boy, anyway, We don't know his background. We don't know where he's coming from to talk about money making. He might be an orphan and so on, though that is not an excuse. How many times both the senators, Federal House of Representatives, it is only during this election period that you see them sharing rice and so on. During the palliative, during this serious era of COVID-19, what happened? How many of them visited home? What did they do? How many of them had come home and take a census of those who are not employed? How many of them? How many of them have not even gone to their villages? Do you know that our villages people are still living in mud houses? Yet you have billions you are saving for generations on board. You see, we should be telling ourselves the truth. Even the lawmakers, they are part of the problem we are facing. So they should tackle the problem headlong. They should not stop at the symptoms. Nollywood has done nothing wrong. Nollywood helped in exposing the ills in the society.
It's like a mirror in the sun.
Exactly. That is what they are. They are telling you what is happening in the society. Like I said earlier, film acting or movie is all about faking reality, not faking faith. They show you what is happening in the society.
Okay, thank you, Professor Jere. You have made your point. Now, Dr. Ndago, a clergyman told me he is a member of our Abia Christian community. He told me confident that pastors are also involved. But I invited him to this program. He declined my invitation. Why do you think that pastors kill for ritual? I know that you are not a clergyman yourself.
We have read in the newspapers, heard on radio, where pastors are said to have killed people, buried some of them when they are doing in their pulpit to acquire power or to attract membership to their churches. We are told, even though I'm not aware that any pastor has been prosecuted, I'm not aware it could have happened, I am not aware of that. We all hear this. But for a pastor himself to say it, he must have had some substance of proof to have said it. You don't blame him for not coming on a national television like Living Film TV to say that. But we know that even pastors themselves, apart from getting involved in ritual killings, indirectly encourage that. Yes, where in your church all you preach is prosperity, get that money, come to me and pay tax, not minding how I have made that money, sow that seed, God will bless you. Even if I go and kill and bring that money to church, pastor will not ask me, how did you get this money? Some pastors preach prosperity, that is their topic. So they are also indirectly encouraging this ritual killing. So apart from the allegation that they are practitioners, they practice ritual killing to attract membership and acquire power to be able to perform miracles so that they will answer international men of God, they also encourage that indirectly by attaching much value to wealth. If you're a poor man, you come to church every day, the pastor does not mind. Some pastors, not all, do not mind. But by the time you come to church and you donate, or you are capable of donating millions of naira, you have a special seat. And pastor will even pray specially for you, leaving me, the poor man that has come to church with my whole heart. So that is why I say it is a systemic failure, as we said earlier. There are so many of us, the society at large, the Christendom, the government, parents, all of us are to be held responsible for this situation we have found ourselves.
Okay, thank you. Now, Professor Jele, do you agree that messages of prosperity emanating from the pulpit is contributing to what is happening, to what we are witnessing today?
Yes, 100%, because the pastors, just like Doc said, they encourage most of these things. I remember a church in Aba here that owns a radio station. I was invited to come and do a talk. The topic was on the icons of Aba. I mentioned the Gojeke who paid tax for a lot of people who hadn't money then. I mentioned Mbakwe and so on. The man asked me, what about pastors? I told him that the so-called big-time pastors and bishops, that they have disappointed God, and that most of the offerings, tithes, and seed sowing in the church, they use it to build schools and hospitals. And yet, those who make these contributions cannot afford the bills of that same hospital and that school. And yet they keep telling people, you should store your wealth in heaven, where moth and thieves will not take it. Why? They are busy storing their own here. I quoted a place in the Bible in 1 John 4:20, where the Bible says, how can you claim that you love God whom you do not see when you cannot do good things to the people around you? That Christianity is not how many times you go to church, it's your dealing, your relationship with the people around you. It was on that verge that the man asked them to off the radio, to off the station on the plant. I didn't know, and I continued talking. There was a blackout all of a sudden. And they said, the man said that radical should get out from his station. So when you look at it, what I was saying, even though he is the owner of the church, but his name was not mentioned, but because he pinched him somewhere, and that was why he said it. How can you be talking about prosperity? Just like a program I finished yesterday with House of Gold Church, opposite Crunches at Abai there. How can you be talking about prosperity? God has a standard for prosperity. The Bible says in the book of Joshua chapter 1 verse 8, let this book of the law never depart from your mouth. Meditate on it day and night, and observe everything in it, and then you shall prosper. That I went anywhere, a man donated 1 million. After 1 week, God blessed him with 5 million. It happened the other time I went to Cameroon, and it happened. I am telling you, I'm not serving a poor God. Give all that you have, even if it means borrowing. The Lord is going to embarrass you. Is God a money doubler? God does not double money. And by so doing, wherever you find yourself, you want to be relevant. And that most of these their preachings has led a lot of men into both armed robbery and even this ritual killing we're talking about. Do you know pastors pray for these Yahoo boys? Do you know that? They pray for them to go and succeed. They even ask them to get their laptops. They pray for them, bless it, and ask them to go. So if you say that they are involved in ritual killings, when you talk about prophecies here and there, most of them, they don't come from God. Because the Bible said in the Bible book of Deuteronomy, how can we know a prophecy that is of God? He said, any prophecy that did not come to pass did not come from God. You know what happened? I don't want to mention them, but here, and how the man left, why he left here. Because he prophesied against Joseph. Joseph was not going to go a second tenor. What happened? Joseph went. And yet people are still trooping there. Another one that says is the final answer to prophecy. Also prophesied for Neaba Ribe. It didn't work. He is also out of Aba, the port. So pastors are involved. Not all of them. They are still genuine men of God. But there are some of them that have come to make money. How can you tell people that Jesus is coming today and tomorrow? That is why whatever anyone has should bring into the house of God for the commoners to eat. And yet you are busy buying houses here and there, building universities that will last for 4 years, when Christ may come to door tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Professor Adeyemi. And before we draw the curtain on today's edition of our program, Dr. Ndaku, let me ask you this. What do you think should be done to stem the tide? I want you to be brief.
Let me start from the pulpit. Prof has said it. If 50 pastors today in Abia State will make it a topic and preach against it, the implications of ritual killing, we will be on our way to reducing that. If parents should devote more time to ensuring the high level of morals among their children, letting them know the effects of ritual killing, we will be on our way to bringing some people who we are planning to go into it out of it. If teachers like me would devote 30 minutes of the 5-6 hours they spend in school to letting the children know the effects of ritual killing, which they will carry home, apart from taking the message home, those of them who are young, catch them young, they won't go into that tomorrow. We will be on our way to reducing that. If the government will devote enough time to curbing the rate of unemployment among our youth, we shall be on our way to reducing ritual killing. If Nollywood would go a long way to reducing the level of obscene events related to ritual killing, Prof may not like that. We should be on our way to reduce ritual killing. So it is all hands on board. I think it is something we can fight and reduce to the barest minimum. That is my submission.
Okay, thank you very much. Professor Diele, I also want you to be brief. It cannot be eradicated completely. What do you think can be done?
Yeah, it's very simple. The government should ensure that there is enough employment. And then our parents also should also be mindful of the kind of things they teach their children. And every parent should always ask his son that came home. He left with barely 2 years. In less than 3 years, he's back home with a jeep, he's building a 5-story building and so on. It is important to set the person that was asking, my son, how come, how manage, what are you doing? Pastors equally should face the work they've been called to do, to change the society, preaching at the pulpit, not affluence. There is no true and reasonable pastor that is supposed to have some have two private jets and so on. And when there are members of your churches who cannot afford a meal a day, you are equally teaching them affluence. They want to be like you. The only time Jesus made use of a ride, he didn't buy it, he got it from somebody. And when he finished, it ended there. So where is this affluence coming from? Who are you imitating? Is it God or Christ? Are they still serving God? So the pastors are not doing their work at all. Anyone that comes out, thank God, I was a lecturer in a theological institution for more than 20 years. And every one of them wants to get richer, faster. That is why they are involved in so many of these things. So I think all hands should be on them. Let the government do their part. Let the parents do their part. Let the pastors. These are three major arms that will help to curb this mess.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Chineduma Diele. And with that, we have come to the end of today's edition of our program, Issues of the Moment. We have been discussing ritual killings in Nigeria, the factors fueling this menace. I want to thank Dr. Stanley Ndwago and Professor Chineduma Diele for being part of today's edition of our program. Gentlemen, God bless you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
My name is Chimezie Ozems. I also want to thank you for being part of today's edition of Issues of the Moment. Join us on Friday for another interesting package.